Hello and welcome to Brodual. This time we have our warrior episode for Perkus Maximus. Similar to the mage trees that we covered in the last episode, the warrior perk should affect the way you play the game and reward you for good gameplay. It also shares several other design principles, so things like point sinks no longer exist and perks will usually only require a single point. And when they do require more, each point will bring a significant upgrade. Passives have also been revamped to be more interactive, so instead of receiving a small buff with each perk point, you'll now receive buffs in certain areas during certain situations. Also similar to how the mage perks were complemented with new spells, the new warrior perks come with the addition of new combat mechanics. The vanilla combat system is very basic, even though you spend a hell of a lot of time in battle. Perma tries to add more depth by making a whole bunch of changes that affect both player and all NPCs. In general, weapons hurt more and armor is more effective. Weapon types have also been fully expanded and come with a dozen new categories. There are short spears, halberds, hatchets, battle staves and many others. These have also all been broken down into three main classes, so they're either bladed, piercing, blunt or a mixture of the three, with each class acting as a guideline for the weapons. Bladed weapons cause bleeding damage, piercing weapons cause a defense debuff and blunt weapons stagger the target. However, these classes are mostly just there to interact with their appropriate perks. Most weapons will actually come with a mixture of the three, but focus more in a particular area. So for example, a dagger isn't going to cause as much bleeding damage as a halberd, and a mace isn't going to knock an enemy back as much as a warhammer. These stats can also be adjusted using the Perkus Maximus if you're interested. Armor now comes with more of a learning curve, and by that I mean it's more difficult to use earlier on, but you reap the rewards for becoming a master. Armor also affects spellcasting cost, movement speed and attack speed. However, just wearing the armor will level up the related skill. Blocking also comes with a popular modded mechanic of time blocking, where if you block at the right time, it'll stagger the enemy. And finally, the warrior master perks are called mastery perks. Similar to the mage focus perks, you get to choose one of them across all of the warrior trees. Generally speaking, these add new abilities to use, but we'll get more into specifics as we look into each tree. The one-handed tree is now called light weaponry. Unlike the vanilla passives that buff you directly, these ones will let you turn the tide of battle by using well-timed attacks, and gain advantages from good positioning. So attack while the enemy is vulnerable, and you can cause them to fall down or take significantly increased damage. As you unlock the perks, you'll also unlock a battle frenzy system. So as you fight and hit your targets, you'll receive buffs in defense and movement speed. And if you choose the mastery perk combat sense, it'll give you the ability to slow down time for increased accuracy and damage. Which when comboed with the new positioning and timing perks creates a really fun and fast paced combat system, which is how we think light weaponry should be handled. The two-handed tree is now called heavy weaponry. Unlike the light weaponry tree where emphasis is put on swift hits to build your adrenaline, the heavy weaponry tree wants you to take full advantage of power attacks to completely dominate the enemy. Several perks focus on power attacks alone, giving you the ability to completely destroy a blocking enemy's shield, knock them down and more. You can also unlock perks to make your power attacks more efficient, and to give you buffs when you successfully hit a clean attack. The mastery perk Warrior's Heart gives you the ability to temporarily buff your damage depending on your current health. The lower your health, the higher the buff, so it could be a life-saving ability. Both weaponry trees come with perks that buff the weapon classes I mentioned earlier. So quick stabs with light weaponry will increase the piercing stat on your weapons, and big power attacks will boost the knockback effect on blunt weapons, and so on. Also both trees will slightly buff each other, which makes sense. A light weaponry master would realistically know how to handle heavy weapons better than a complete novice. The archery tree is now called ranged weaponry. The bows have also been broken down into short bows, long bows and crossbows, so certain perks will only buff one type. They'll now also take several details into account, so the target's current health, armor, distance and a few other things will all determine how much damage you deal. So for example, hitting targets from far away with a longbow gives more damage, and it's the opposite for short bows. Also hitting your targets in certain places leads to different results, for example hitting them on the side or back causes them to stagger. On top of that, perks will also give you increased mobility and control over your bows, which makes handling them feel more natural. Crossbows also come with perks related to engineering. These will allow you to craft crossbow modification kits and apply mods to your bows. This will give them buffs in certain areas, depending on how you mod them. And finally, the mastery perk here is called Skill Shot, which gives you the ability to fire faster and deal more damage for a small amount of time, so think Legolas in Skyrim. The heavy armor tree focuses on building you up into an unstoppable force. As you unlock perks, you'll be able to move faster, swing easier, and knocking you down becomes almost impossible. On top of that, you can use your heavy armor knowledge to exploit its weaknesses on other enemies. Some of the perks will even boost your attacking power, as you swing with the full force of your body and armor. The mastery perk here will turn you into an unyielding tower, allowing you to sacrifice movement speed for a huge boost in defense for a short amount of time. The blocking tree follows a similar vein to that of the weapon trees, in that you're rewarded for skilled gameplay. Blocking at the right time leads to several different rewards, including disorienting the target, gaining a boost in stamina, and potentially even disarming the enemy. Blocking and bashing now affects the regeneration of yourselves and your enemies, so again you're further rewarded for skilled gameplay. Shields have also been broken down into two categories, light and heavy, both giving appropriate advantages and disadvantages similar to that of light and heavy weapons. The mastery perk is called Last Stand, and it'll let you use up your stamina to reduce all incoming damage when blocking. So combining that with the other regeneration perks when blocking, it can completely turn the fight around. And finally we come to smithing. Similar to the vanilla tree, several perks can be spent to unlock recipes for new types of armour. However, this time around you're rewarded with more extra passive set bonuses. So if you unlock the ebony smithing perk, you'll receive a 10% magic resistant buff when wearing the full set. There's also several other perks to unlock your true smithing potential. A copycat perk lets you craft copies of any rare artifacts as long as you originally owned them. You can now also melt down gear and recraft them with slightly better stats, which unlocks a greater variety of potential equipment. An advanced smith will also unlock the ability to craft dwarven automatons to assist them in battle. However, a master smith will unlock legendary recipes to craft extremely powerful gear that can't be enchanted. So overall, the warrior module puts a lot of emphasis on rewarding skilled gameplay. Wildly swinging your weapon and wearing random bits of armour is nowhere near as effective as it is in the vanilla game. So if you're interested in trying out a swift swordsman or a warhammer wielding juggernaut, then you can find links for everything you need down below. And as always, be sure to leave an endorsement on any mod you enjoy, and thanks for watching.